Hello everybody and welcome into the PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series, live tonight from the famous Talladega Superspeedway, making a stop back in the ARCA Menard Series, and we have got a good one on tap. A lot of new things since the big iRacing updates and a lot of drivers looking to get their name in PGR victory lane here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, qualifying is complete. Drivers are getting gridded up, so without any further ado, let's kick things off here tonight with your starting grid. The man that'll sit the pole position here tonight, none other than Wyatt Gray, put down a very hot lap tonight at a 54.2 to get himself that front row starting position. Brian Hennings for VRX Simulators will start to the outside of row number 1 in second. It'll be Asher Little in the 01 back in third, with Ethan Eckert, recent comeback for him. He'll start on the outside in fourth. For the Jack Shack, first entry for them in the field here tonight, it's Jared Haynes rolling off fifth. Casey Sprinkle from McCullough Motorsports back in sixth, with Coke Series driver Michael Guest in seventh. Evan Carlbon to his outside in eighth. Dylan Basin in ninth. And Luke Freeman rounding out the top 10. Moving on back to row number 6, Jeff Merck looking for a win here tonight. He'll have to start from the 11th spot, with Kevin Tipton to his outside in 12th. Row number 7 on the inside will start the 84 of Justin Melichar. Josh Bondwell, that's the name you haven't heard in a while. He's returning to the field here tonight. He will roll off 14th. Trevor Ostronaut, another one of the Jack Shack drivers. He'll start 15th. He'll have some work to do alongside Sean Corbett, who rolls off on the outside of row number 8. Josh Gambrone, he'll start 17th tonight. Miles Bagley to his outside in 18th. It'll be Corey Wright in 19th. And one of the most winning drivers in PGR history, Daniel Falkingham, rolling off in 20th. Malik Ray, he'll start 21st, with Nathan Harper 22nd. Kyler Wynn, the Canadian driver in the field, he will start 23rd, with Nash Brambilla to his outside in 24th. Moving on back to the 25th and 26th positions, Axel Smith alongside Aubrey Thompson. Then it's Joshua McCullough, Tucker McClendon back in row 14, with Ken McCullough Jr., one of the veterans, in 29th, and Quentin Steinbach rounding out the top 30. Cameron Craighead, he'll roll off 31st. In the last two cars in the field tonight, going to be Mark Von Dell alongside Joel Hernandez. Looking at your race info, we are again back in the ARCA Menard Series. Not really any changes with this car since the update, but it is still very aggressive, a lot of pushing and shoving, and a lot of guys excited to be back into this series. It's what the Light Series kicked the season with off on Monday at this track and car combo. None other than Talladega Superspeedway. Distance tonight going to be 55 laps. Drivers will have 60% fuel, so adding in a little bit more pit strategy than usual. 2 sets of tires, no fast repair. Fixed setups as always, and 1 green-white checker. Track temp going to be starting out in the 80s. Sim temp 78 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and calm winds. Going to make for a beautiful day here in the sim for some racing. And just before we go green here, going to quiet things down. We do want to take a moment of remembrance as America never forgets the September 11th attacks, and we are going to do that as the pace car rolls through 3 and 4. All right, time to get going here. Pace car going to make the left turn down to the pits for the first time here tonight. If you're just tuning in, get strapped in, get ready to go. The PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series back at Talladega. Field rolling now up into the Geico restart zone. Here we go. Green flag in the air. We are racing at Talladega. Three wide already as they race down the Alabama gang backstretch. Oh, big bump right there in the middle. That was the 74. Brian Hennings trying to hold on to it as he got a big shove out back from the 12 of Ethan Eckert. Casey Little up top, nothing that he can do right now, just trying to work for any help that he can get. By the way, I want to make a quick mention of this now. I did try to up the stream quality back up tonight to 1440, so please, for anybody watching in the chat, let me know that things are running smooth. If they are not running smooth and if the quality looks okay. With that, I saw 4 wide in the back. Close call there. There's still 4 wide. Going into turn 1 here, that was right around where the 88 of Daniel Falkingham was running. And that could have been really, really close. Looks like everybody's going to bail out of it for now, and we will stay okay, but still 4 wide. Josh Bonwell, now the man stuck in the middle in that 56 car. Trevor Osmanoff going to pull clear with the 84. Justin Melichar, as they now get back to 3x3 down the backstretch. Ethan Eckert talked about his relatively recent return to money racing here, but very aggressive now. Making a block on that 59 machine of Casey Sprinkle up top. 2x2 for the first 3 rows. In the middle, though, that's where everybody's trying to go to get their way to the front, but seems like it is starting to lose a little bit of momentum here. That is the 29 machine. Now stuck in the middle with nowhere to go, awaiting help. Luke Freeman, believe this is his first PGR eSports start, and boy, he is making the most of it so far. Down a spot from where he started this race at, but trying to get back towards the front. Oh man, big wiggle for Eckert right there. Got spit out. Now he's stuck on the outside. He'll pick up a push though. The 84 is still there. That's Justin Melichar, who again, you know, you're probably thinking, I haven't heard that name a ton when it comes to money racing, but you've probably started to hear that name a lot more recently. It has not taken him very long at all to figure things out. Melichar currently second on that 3rd lane. Boy, we are just like that, back to 3x3x3 all the way back through the field. It's Melichar here trying to give Ethan Eckert the push to get out in front. The outside tends to be the better spot to be here in these ARCA cars, and they're going to prove that here through the tri-oval as they're going to jump clear. That's going to bring 2 of them clear. Looks like the 84 Melichar jumps down. Eckert electing to stay up. Interesting choice right there. That shows you that he feels like that top lane's the spot to be. Feels like that's where he needs to play his best defense. Mark Person, Carl Haynes says, quality look good. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Let me know if anything changes at any point. Try to get a handle on that. Still 3x3 here. The 59 of Casey Sprinkle, though, now going to poke a nose out in front as they work down the backstretch. Inside starts to fade. Carlbon tried to drop him out right there, but he couldn't quite beat him to it. And similar to the Gen 6, we're not only talking about big runs, we're also talking about a lot of really, really big pushes. And sometimes that can lead to some issues here as we're going to hop on board now with none other than the 88 here tonight. Daniel Falkingham. He's got the National Guard colors. Right now just sitting in line behind Axel Smith, taking it nice and easy. He knows that we're still really early in this race, a lot of pit stops to be made. But at the same time, you can still kind of see that sense of urgency now. He'll drop in line behind the 56. Josh Bonwell, who made that move up to the middle here, just coming out of the tri-oval. You can hear not full throttle either, just trying to manage right now. That's really all you can do when you're in kind of this sort of position. You hope that nobody makes a mistake, because if they do, you know you're getting caught up. And meanwhile, we go a little bit further back in the field. Another one of the drivers that we're keeping an eye on here tonight, the 60 of Jeff Merck, carrying an onboard view for us, the driver out of Punta Gorda, Florida. You see he's sitting behind the 21 there of Michael Guest, and they're really the group that is kind of just behind all this chaos, taking it easy right now to see what's going to happen. See if Merck decides to try to start making his way up towards the front here shortly. 2 more driver cams that I do want to go over here briefly tonight as we'll keep going through some of the onboard views. Justin Melichar carrying an onboard view for us here tonight. He currently sits in the 12th position. He's up a spot from where he started this race at. Is up top. You see right there just through his windshield, everybody bailing on the 12 of Ethan Eckert, including the 89 of Trevor Ozernaut. That's the man that you just saw, and yes indeed, he is also carrying an onboard view for us here tonight. One of the Jack Shack favorites looking to go back to victory lane. He has been very good at getting it done in cars that are not, or at least not what we're used to seeing in PGR. You figure the bread and butter was the truck series, but that's not the case anymore. We're switching things around, and initially, these guys were going to be at Bristol Motor Speedway tonight for a special event. Did not work out. Instead, they put a vote up. Here we are, and none other than Talladega. Casey Sprinkle on the bottom now, trying to get something working here with the 33. That's Nathan Harper. Further back, Melichar back up to the high side. 2x2 is how they funnel out right now after 3 wide for quite a bit of the starting portion of the race. And I think for a couple guys here, I mean, if you're Wyatt Gray in the 18 who's already rocking the Halloween colors, you're kind of in a good spot right now when they're 2 wide. You don't mind being that far back, especially when you're on the outside. But if these guys start getting back to 3 wide, all of a sudden you feel a little bit more urgency that you may be right in that position where if somebody loses it, you could be in a big wreck. That's when it seems like we see everything get really aggressive, is when they start to get 3 wide. All of a sudden, everybody wants to mix it up a whole lot more. Up front, though, now leading the field, 48, Dylan Basin, well in control in the Jimmy Johnson throwback paint scheme. Saw a little bit of a big block up there to the top. Now the 18, Wyatt Gray is going to try to split out. Is that the 18? No. That's the 87, Miles Bagley, I believe. Different paint scheme for him as Eckert will now lead the charge up top. And really, we kind of had this conversation all week, starting with the little guy series, the PGR Light series. And it was that in these cars, you can push, but you can't really tandem, mainly in the corner. You can get away with it sometimes down the straightaway, but if you try to tandem in the corner, it is very easy to bumper hook the guy in front of you and obviously cause some big problems. But on the backstretch right there, the outside got all the momentum in the world. Basin, Osronoff, Eckert all got clear, but the middle dropped low. That's going to prevent really anybody from being able to get down beside your leader. Osronoff and Eckert, though, jump down for the side draft. Now Ethan going to jump right back up top. He'll pick up the push from Wyatt Gray. Still 3x3. Phenomenal racing here with 9 of 55 laps now complete. Middle, though, still not able to really find any sort of rhythm just yet. You see these guys sit there and they side draft each other as you go through the corner, and you know, it kind of helps out in one way, but it hurts in another because you're just stalling out the lane below you, which ultimately slows your progress as well. You only really see that side draft be super effective for an entire line when these guys are 2x2. Trevor, though, got to make a decision here. Looks like he'll choose the inside. That stacks it up just a little bit now further back through the field. I'm looking at the 6 here. Kevin Tipton, one of the drivers who looking to see if he can score his first podium in PGR here tonight. And for Kevin right now, down a couple spots from where he started this race at, but still right there in the mix in the top 15. And I was going all the way back through this pack here to see if anybody had actually lost trouble. Watch out here. Hold my breath here for just a moment as the 89 of Osronoff got shot off the track, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to let him up here. He's going to have to get this sorted out before they get to turn number 1. He tries to do that. He'll finally find a spot to blend up just in front of Tucker McClendon and Axel Smith. He'll work up to the high side. So that was certainly a pretty close call. Not sure what got Trevor out of shape right there. Certainly a big catch. We're going to actually back this up. So I'm curious what got him out of line. I think it was a push gone wrong. That's Basin pushing, and right as they're getting into the travel, oh, it's just a little bit of that bumper hook that we talked about. I mentioned that you can usually get away with it on the straightaways. That was a case where you couldn't. But if that would have been in the corner, that certainly would have been a lot worse. Lucky break right there, and a piece of heads-up driving right there by Trevor Osronoff to catch it. It has shuffled things up front just a little bit, though. Now Wyatt Gray will take over the lead here at Talladega with 11 of 55 laps complete. And with as green as these guys are going right now, I would dare to say there's a possibility here that we could see some pit stops. Those pit stops could be coming up here quite shortly. 11 of 55, you figure 60% fuel for these guys, I would say is probably somewhere around the 20-ish lap marker. So we'll have to see if they can go a little bit further or a little bit less. Again, that would be the general idea. Now Justin Melichar almost got freight trained right there by the outside, but he is going to be able to slot in line just in front of the 25 right there. So he'll be able to keep some track position. Everybody else, though, has single file out pit stops earlier than I was expecting. Here we go, and this is going to be just about the whole field. Watch out here, 4 or 5 wide. Is it going to work? Oh, a little bit of contact, but it does. Oh, my goodness. You talk about a synchronized pit stop. The entire field just about all comes in on that pit stop. In fact, I'm looking at it here. I think that is every single car in the field that was with the lead group, which was 29 cars, one of the biggest pit stops we have had in PGR history. But oh, watch out here. One car stalled in the middle. That's the 25. He's going to be able to get it sorted out. And now everybody tries to blend back out. This is where things get really, really difficult here. Couple with good stops that got out earlier than everybody else. Falkingham and Harper. Further back, though, engines coming back to life as everybody's trying to get through the gears, back up to speed, and stick with the pack. Looks like everybody back to at least Cameron Craighead, Kevin Tipton are going to be okay. Axel Smith, Josh Bonwell trying to get after it, see if they can get up there as well. And for Harper and Falkingham, mentioned that they had a great stop here to get out earlier, but I can tell you that advantage, fortunately, isn't quite going to stay for these two, as that pack will eventually be able to run them down here. And showing that Falkingham is still in the pits, obviously a scoring error there, so we'll give everything a quick refresh here. See if we can get it sorted out. You're not having any luck, so I'm not sure if iRacing's got the scoring a little confused right now or what. As we'll go back to the onboard view here for Jeff Merck. We'll go back and see how he fared out of this pit stop. Let's see where Jeff actually came out of the pits at here. Looks like he's set 4 spot. I was going to say, I could have swore I saw his car come out early, so I was getting ready to go back to him, as he is currently the lead pusher in this second group. So for Jeff Merck here, see what he can make happen. As him and Wyatt Gray will try to track down your leaders, and it looks like they're going to add a third car as caution. Didn't see that one coming. Where's the trouble? Josh Bonwell has crashed, and he has towed it. Got to think there's some significant damage on that car, and it looks as though there is. And there was no fast repair here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, so that is going to basically end Bonwell's night. One of the veterans to Super Speedway Money Racing. Been on a break for a while, made a return tonight, but he's not going to get a chance to see it all the way through. And so this was 14 to 55 laps complete, so this is going to certainly kind of be interesting the way it plays off a strategy, but let's go back and look what happens here. I think he just gets turned. Now, we talked about it. Guys don't listen, though. They always dare to try just a little bit more, and Joshua McCullough here just trying to stay tandem through the corner. Gets offset right, tries to straighten out without getting off of him, and that's a big hit for the 56, who just had nothing that he could do right there. It's a horrible feeling as a driver because you can almost sense it coming too. When a guy's on your bumper, you feel the car kind of wiggling, starting to get light as the rear end lifts up. And again, watch it here. The zoomed in cam really shows you all you need to see. Joshua McCullough just trying to push him now. There's a little bit of rear damage there to the 56. I don't know if that contributed to how easily they were able to get connected. But the problem isn't necessarily with the push. It's right here as he gets offset right and then tries to straighten it out. Just hooks him. Doesn't take much. And right there is where it really sends the car out of shape. Up the track he goes, and Bonwell, again, big hit into the outside wall, sent him straight down the track. I was trying to see who that was that had contact. I think that was either Asher Little or Quentin Steinbach. I think it was Asher Little. Yeah, right there. Sundrop paint scheme. I believe that was Asher Little. We'll get a double check on that here in a moment, but he took a pretty big shot. Be curious to see if he got some pretty heavy damage from this. Let's go back and play this slow just a couple more times for you. And look at that. I mean, he's dead right coming off the corner, and he hits the wall so hard. Look how quickly he gets back down the track. That's in slow motion, too. Nothing that the 10 could do. And yeah, Asher Little's actually in the 0-1 tonight, so the 10, that would have been Quentin Steinbach who took the brunt of this one here. So that's who we're going to go try to ride on board with here. As I'm looking, it looks like things are shuffling up a little bit here with some pitch strategy. But yes, let's go back here and watch this from the onboard view at full speed with Quentin Steinbach. This is how quick it happens here. Fortunately, the 10 not quite able to react in time. Yeah, and there's just absolutely nothing he can do right there. I mean, he never even sees him until the contact's actually already made. So you hope for Steinbach's sakes the damage isn't too bad. As we go back live now, obviously Bonwell's night's still done. Sean Corbett, though, now being scored as your race leader. Wyatt Gray is in second. Jeff Merck in third. Casey Sprinkle fourth. And Miles Bagley is currently rounding out your top 5. And if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. You are watching the PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series live on PGR eSports. And looks like got a few more people that have tuned in here tonight. Heath Jobe, Kenny Reel, and Infinite Frost. Good to see everybody out here. Hope that you are enjoying this Thursday night. So I'm sure a lot of people watching Thursday night football or the Bristol truck race, but a lot of guys also out here trying to make something happen. You know, a name that we have not got to call so far tonight that I think it's only a matter of time is Malik Ray. Back in 22nd, leads the PGR stats, but has not been able to make his way to the front, at least not yet here tonight. He's got the Dale Jr. throwback scheme on his ARCA Menard Chevrolet. And so with this caution, and based off when it looks like we're going to go back green. Now that first pit stop, I find it hard to believe those guys went as long as they could. If they did, I would almost think you'd say the next pit stop from here is somewhere between lap 25 and lap 30. But if they could stretch it a little further, again, you kind of would assume that they would. Granted, we're going to have, looks like 39 or 40 laps to go, and we go green, assuming the lights go off this time. So that'll be something to keep an eye on here. And while we have a little race break, see if we can bring in, I'm not sure if he's in here, race control. I wanted to see if we could get some clarity on that, but I do not see race control in here. So we will keep it as is for now. And for the 45 is Sean Corbett here. Big opportunity. He is another one still looking for that first PGR win. He's up 15 positions, though, tonight. From where he started this race at, he's came close a couple different times, but stars just have not quite aligned yet. And I feel like it's also been a little while since we've seen a major underdog winner in PGR. Almost feel like it's kind of just a matter of time. Wyatt Gray going to roll off second for this restart. Merck and Sprinkle back in row 2. It'll be Michael Guest and Dylan Basin back in row number 3. Trevor Osmanoff 7th. Justin Melichar 8th. Evan Carlbon and Cameron Craighead rounding out the top 10. How about Joel Hernandez? This is another storyline that we talked about a couple of times for one main reason. A lot of times you'll hear people say stats don't lie. I think for Joel Hernandez, it's the opposite. He's a D class with a 677 I rating. And if you look at the stats, you'd say, what is this guy even doing out here? I mean, he's got no chance, right? No. Joel Hernandez has actually, in the races that he started PGR, been really good. He's been able to dodge any wrecks, hasn't caused any as of yet, and has been able to fight up here in the top 10 just about every appearance he's made. So that's another one. I don't count him out. And again, you look at the stat line, you think, yeah, he's got no chance. He's either sandbagging or something else because, again, Joel Hernandez has looked very good in his PGR starts. Nathan Harper sitting in that 14th spot. Luke Freeman 16th. Mark Vondell back in the 17th position. So for Malik Ray, by the way, 19th, and Jared Haynes just behind them, Corey Wright. Those kind of the last 3 cars before things single file out. So the back of the group here going to have to be a little bit careful because that's a pretty long single file line on the inside that you don't lose the draft. That could certainly cause a lot of issues. So it's something that we'll keep an eye on. And now that I look at it here, Sean Corbett gets ready to grab the green flag once again. Good looking paint scheme. And we're going to go to our starter cam on this one. See the green flag in the air. Flagman ready to go. And so are we. Still a ways from halfway. Green flag back in the air. And we are back underway at Talladega. Good restart for the front row. Maybe even a little bit of a better jump, surprisingly, for the outside. Corbett was in control of the restart, but the outside was able to get the jump. Now Craighead with a bit of a mistake, and Falkingham going to take full advantage. Quick to jump to the outside. Not going to get any helpers, at least not yet. Watch out up back, though. There's Malik Ray. You knew those two get lined up, and now it's the middle that finds themselves without any help. Craighead falling backwards. Meanwhile, at the front, Basin now going to duck to the middle. He had the run. He'll take it, and he's going to go all the way to the bottom. Casey Sprinkle, Wyatt Gray. You see him ducking down low, trying to grab a side draft. Anything to slow the momentum down of that inside. We're seeing some pretty aggressive bumps up here as well. Other thing to note is we look out the gearbox here for Justin Melichar, who currently sits in 3rd at the moment. And Osmanoff giving him just a little bit of space to work. Melichar can't push. He knows Casey Sprinkle is doing that job right now. And I got to think for Dylan right there. He's going to think about it and maybe say, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have made that move next time. The 48 lost a couple of positions now, pinned on the bottom, but nowhere to go really. Still 2 and 3 wide throughout the field. 2 wide up front. Now they're going to go 3 again. The 84 will jump low. Boy, Melichar has been making some noise so far tonight, disrupting some of these top guys, but the 89 of Osmanoff always trying to go to the front. Sprinkle with the big move. Watch out. That stacks him up on the inside. That was the middle. Now they're going to go 4 wide. Jeff Merck trying to hold it together as everybody tries to get by. And man, Merck was a victim of circumstance right there. Nothing he did wrong. Got caught up in somebody else's mistake, caused a checkup. And 60 goes from the front. Now going to have to duck in line. 3rd in line towards the back. 19 of 55 laps now in the books. If you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. The 88 of Falkingham, Dylan Basin, those two have tandemed up and are trying to pull away. Got to be careful, though. You get too much of a lead. You know these guys are coming back, and the run is going to be massive once they get there. Wyatt Gray's got it. He's going to jump out. He'll grab a side draft on the 45 is Sean Corbett. Now he's going to look for more. Meanwhile, the top actually trying to group up here. That was a massive block right there by Daniel Falkingham. And look how spread out things are. Even this lead group is still trying to get maybe just a little bit of breathing room right here on everybody else. Not sure how long that'll last as Casey Sprinkle now finds himself in the sucker hole going backwards. Slowly getting closer to that halfway point in tonight's action. Will be right around lap 27 at 28. For Wyatt Gray, Daniel Falkingham, I'm not sure if those two are direct teammates necessarily, but they certainly work pretty good together. Two of the more conservative guys that you'll find in the field. And you got to take care of the guys that you want to help you out later early on. And I mean, you look at what the top 4, top 5 on this outside are starting to stack up to be, and it's going to be a tough line to get by. Malik Ray, Michael Guest. Oh, watch out. Craighead off the track. Is he going to come up here? 48 trying to save it. Oh, he does. What a job there by Cameron Craighead to get on the brakes, get woed up, and not come back and kill the field. Looks like he did. I believe find a spot back in line here. Right at the back of this lead pack, so it'll be interesting to see if he can hold on, but the way that car kind of shot around in that spot of the racetrack makes me think I know exactly what it was. Let's rewind it back, though, and look at it to be sure. That's the 33 right there. Nathan Harper pushing as they get into the corner and just never really lets him go. A little tough to tell from that angle, but then right here he gets into him again, and that's the one that does it. See, it turns that 48 right down the track, and this is where I said, what a job. I mean, he's on the flat here. If he doesn't get on the brakes and try to get that thing straightened out, he's going straight back up the racetrack. But Craighead, aware enough to realize, hey, I don't have a fast repair here. I may not get a caution either, so I got to try to keep this car clean and give myself at least a fighting chance. He did just that. 3 wide, though, up front. Nobody skipping a beat here in the battle for the lead. The 21, Michael Guest on the outside, getting pushed by teammate Malik Ray. On the bottom, Wyatt Gray, Jeff Merck, Casey Sprinkle, and the 88 of Joel Hernandez. We called his number a few times during that last caution, and here he is now, rolling up, leading the inside as Sprinkle jumped up to catch a push from Trevor Oswernoth. We've been showing Trevor a few times here tonight. He loves to race. Fast repair, no fast repair. He's not going to sit back and ride. And now we see Malik Ray and a few others here ducking out for a little bit of air. We talked about track temp tonight. Not a big issue, as I'll show you the dashboard telemetry and the weather conditions. Track temp has gone up a few degrees now in the low 90s. It still should not be causing any major issues. Speed-wise, these guys topping out right around the mid-190s here into turn 1, and this isn't even as much pushing as we'll likely see by the end of the race. See the 60 of Jeff Merck here still rolling up top. 21 Michael Guest gets a shot from Malik Ray, and it's so tough. You're trying to get 3 cars together on the outside as you go down the backstretch to get clear. But you know that if you get that guy just a little bit offset, kind of issues it could cause, but that's what they needed right there. Top lane, going to get at least 2 clear. Will Jeff Merck decide to go anywhere with it, though? Not yet. Joel Hernandez still trying to make a run here for the lead. Second from the bottom, leading that middle line. And oh, watch out. Casey Sprinkle, man, Oswernoth really wanted to take him 4 wide right there. Casey left a little bit of a gap now. He's going to go up, and oh, man. I don't know if the 89 wanted to follow, but he says, hey, I saw what you tried to do last time. Trevor Oswernoth is going to ditch out the 59, and that really broke up the momentum for that middle line. Nathan Harper on the bottom, still leading. Top on board now with the 33 as he tries to get his way towards the front of this field. And in this case, I think if you're Nathan Harper, if you get clear, you're probably trying to jump up, but it just gets so tough for that bottom line to do when the outside side drafts, but this time they don't. Wyatt Gray feeling like the top's a little more important. He'll stay up, and that's going to pull not 1, but 2 clear. Eckert and Harper jump up, some contact out back. Watch out, trouble. Falkingham back down into the lead. Can they save it? No. Back across the track goes Corbett. Trevor Oswernoth collected. Now the 6 slides. Big hit for the 97. Axel Smith. Caution back out. Now we have got some destroyed race cars now, and one of them, the 89 of Trevor Oswernoth, he's going to take it to the pits here, and he knows unfortunately his night is done. I think Jeff Merck, who you saw there on the left side of your screen, got through it. We'll have to check as far as Justin Melichar goes, but for Trevor, the luck just wasn't there when it needed to be. That race car is destroyed. No fast spare. Going to bring his night to an end. Let's go back, look at it here. This one might take a little bit longer to break down. There was a lot going on right here It all starts with the 8 jumping out of line, which I think is going to come from a push out back. And that's the 8 of Malik Ray. So let's go start with that first. There's Malik. See Daniel Falkingham just behind him in the 88. As Malik goes down, there's a pretty big checkup here. And that stack up gets right back to the car just behind Malik, the 88 of Joel Hernandez, who can't quite get on the brakes in time. Gets into the 8, and then as he gets a shot from Trevor Osnaut, that sends him back into the 8. You see Malik and Daniel Falkingham here get tangled up. They're trying to save it. Looks like initially they did, but then as Falkingham's still trying to get it completely straight, Carlbahn hits him offset to the left, and that gets Falkingham back down into the 8 of Malik. They all save it, though. It's actually further back there where Sean Corbett, they're all trying to get back on the racetrack after getting pushed off. Looks like that's where the actual wreck itself starts. So watch here as Corbett gets pushed off as everybody's trying to straighten up. Joel Hernandez, really not much he could do. Sees the 5 of Joshua McCullough there, and here comes the 1. The 89 gets down into the 01 as the 45's coming up, and I think that was really just a little bit of a state of panic there from a couple of guys that were just not really sure what was going on. You're 5-6 wide, you don't know it, because obviously that's not something that usually happens, and you're more so just trying to focus on what's in front and focus on avoiding a wreck, and sometimes when that happens, it's very easy to get collected in kind of the big stack up that happens out back. And as Corbett gets back up the track, 89 of Osronauts, 74 Hennings, just nowhere to go. You see Axel Smith barely getting clipped. That turns him down. He takes a big hit from the 6 and the 48. Casey Sprinkle appears to have also been involved. I think Mark Vondel, though, may have missed that, along with quite a few others there that were hanging a little bit further towards the back. So before we take a couple more onboard views, before we take a couple more, I guess, TV views, I should say, let's go to an onboard view here. This is Mark Vondel, and I want to show you this view because he sees it all play out in front. And watch how he's able to check up so that he can miss this one. Lets off, gets on the brakes, waits for the gap to open up. Shoots through it clean. Casey did straighten it out right there. You see that as well. I'm not sure how much damage he got. So that would certainly be the other big thing here to keep an eye on is, let's go back here to the zoomed in view and show you this a little bit closer here. And again, for Trevor Osnaut, the one thing I mentioned here is there's nothing, he's trying to watch out back and not get wrecked, obviously. When all this chaos breaks out, he sees it. You see that little flinch in front because he sees what's about to happen. And at the same time, you got the 45 coming up. It just kind of squeezes the 01, and then these were some big hits. The 89 gets lifted up. Brakes aren't going to matter when that happens, and then big contact for those 3 cars, and then Axel Smith here as well. Nothing he can do. That's a big shot for the 97. Sends this car up in the air. Watch this. Bam! 6, massive contact, rips his suspension out. Definitely wouldn't be surprised if we go back. This one's taken out probably 4 or 5 really, really good race cars that had a good shot at it here tonight. So as we do go back live now, 26 of 55 laps complete. So we're going to go green here, basically right at the halfway point. Now we still have at least one more green flag pit stop. I think the bigger question would be, can they make it on one stop, or do we still possibly need to have 2? And so we'll keep tabs on that here, fuel strategy-wise, once they get back to green flag racing. And this is a good opportunity here while these guys are under caution. Show you what the payouts are looking like here tonight. For the man that wins the race, $250. And I will say, it was based off 40 entries tonight. They only actually had 32, so the payouts may scale down a little bit, but you get the idea. It was $250 to first, $200 to second, $160 to third, $140 to fourth, $126 to fifth, and $54 to sixth, with a free race entry to the next PGR race for the 7th place finisher. So certainly some good payouts here tonight. And as I mentioned, just in case you weren't here earlier, it's supposed to be a Bristol night special event for PGR eSports, but did not happen. So instead, we are back in the ARCA Menard Series. Never a bad car and track combo to be in when it comes to iRacing. And looking at the Q3 schedule, at least in terms of plans for where these guys should head next. Tonight was ARCA at Talladega, and so that would leave to be determined for what we do next week, and then COTs at Talladega on September 25th. Certainly looking forward to that. And with the lights off here, it's going to be Ethan Eckert, Nathan Harper lining up on row 1. Back in row number 2, it's going to be Jeff Merck alongside Malik Ray, Wyatt Gray, Daniel Falkingham back in row 3. And I'm looking at some of the numbers here. Nathan Harper up 20 positions from where he started this race. The only man that's been able to outdo him so far, Joel Hernandez, up 26 positions from where he started this race at. Danny Barnes in the chat says that destroyed a few. Yeah, it certainly looked that way. And you look over on the scoring tower. By the way, I'm not sure what the issue was for Kyler Wynn, but some early technical issues. He did not actually make the start. Saw Trevor Ostronoth out. Now, we know we have at least 20 cars running on the lead lap. In fact, looks like we have 25 cars still running on the lead lap. After that, going to have a couple guys fighting for the lucky dog. Casey Sprinkle 1 lap down. Henning Smith still in the pits. And then you see Basin, Tipton, and a few others potentially out of this race. So the iRacing pace car going to pull off yet again. And we will try this again. We are now officially going to cross the halfway point here in tonight's race. 27 of 55, going to be 28 of 55 laps complete here at Talladega as Ethan Eckert got the restart he wanted, jumps up, but oh man, Malik quick to ditch out the 33 of Harper. Eckert says, I'm going to try to keep my teammate here if I can. Boy, that did not work out for Malik here. He wasn't able to get anybody to jump up and follow. He's going to fall to the back here as he continues to try to side draft that middle lane back. Not going to do very much for him, though. Harper, Eckert trying to hold even. The bottom's got a better push. Watch out, stacking up. Here we go again. Can everybody hang on to it this time? Looks like they all do, but that was a little bit of a bumper hook, it looked like. They were pretty square, but you just saw it start to get the car in front a little bit loose. Everybody able to save it, though, so we stay green. That did help the outside, though. Ethan Eckert now back on points. And for Eckert, looking to see if he can grab a PGR victory after being back from a suspension for quite some time. Obviously, this is not his first night back, but still recently returned. It's Daniel Falkingham back to the middle. You see Harper and Eckert trying to cover. That's the other tough thing, too, especially for the two leaders. You know, if you're Ethan Eckert, it's not as much of a worry as long as you have trust in the guy behind you. But if you're Nathan Harper, you kind of got to make a decision here on who you want to help more, your teammate or yourself. As Merck off the track, trouble, they're wrecking big time, up and over. Caution. We got one upside down. It's Jared Haynes as the 87 of Bagley slides. Jared Haynes on his lid. And the 7 getting pushed here by the 18. I assume trying to flip him over here, but oh, they're going to make contact with the inside wall now as a result. And the reason he tried to flip him over is because if the 7 stays stuck, he's going to have to tow, and unfortunately, it looks like that is going to be the case. What a wild wreck this was here for Jared Haynes. Miles Bagley, heavy damage. Third caution of the night here. 30 of 55 laps complete. Let's go back and take a look at it. This is actually going to start again. Boy, so this happened for Jeff Merck a couple laps ago, if you remember. A couple of big saves, and it's going to happen again here. I think it was Merck that it was that first time. Couldn't tell when it was happening really fast, but again, I believe that was Merck, and I know it's a little hard to see now. I'm just trying to get you over to the cam I want to show you to first, and then we'll bring things back and actually give you a little bit of a better angle here. Right, so there's Jeff Merck. He's already obviously, or the incident rather, is obviously already started at that point. So here we go. This is going to be right as they're coming on the backstretch, and yep, just looks like a little bit of bumper hook there. Gray's got him squared up, but for some reason it just hooks that 60 car. Merck saves it and getting ready to come up, but then all of a sudden you realize, oh, whoa, wait a minute. These guys are wrecking out back, so he decides to make another detour left. He keeps it together, but then it's out back that all the chaos unfolds. Jared Haynes was right in the middle of this here, so we're going to go back and I think a little bit of a checkup from that, too. I think Wyatt Gray kind of had the natural instinct of, oh, I realize I'm turning him. Jam on the brakes, and I think that causes a stack up behind right there. It's just a little bit of a checkup from that, and that gets the 23 into the 18, turns him up into the 88 of Daniel Falkingham, who just has absolutely nowhere to go. He's spinning in the middle of the track. Dangerous spot to be, and then Jared Haynes gets into his right rear tire. That just sends that car over a ramp. He gets up and over. You see Miles Bagley pile in. Further back with nowhere to go. The 8 going to sneak by. That's a Malik Ray. 21 of Michael Guest. There's Bagley with some more contact. Oh, that's a big hit right there at the end between Daniel Falkingham and Tucker McClendon. Let's go back and watch this here from a couple different angles. This is going to be TV1. And watch as the 88 gets spun here, and then the 7 up and over. 88's getting tagged quite a bit right here. Falkingham trying to get this thing turned back around, but he's got the suspension broken on just about every angle of that race car. So I think his night's going to be done too here. Oh, that thing's destroyed. One more hit for good measure. In fact, he has already retired from the race. So this is going to be another big development here. But before we go to that, I do want to go to the onboard view here for Jared Haynes and talk about a wild ride. Watch this one here for the Jack Shack driver. So Jared Haynes with a wild slide down the backstretch here at Talladega as part of our third caution of the night. And I'm looking at some of the names that are out of it now, and I think there's a few drivers that eyes just lit up when they heard that Daniel Falkingham had race-ending damage. His night is over as the lead is still in the hands of Ethan Eckert. He's led a few here tonight, trying to lead a few more now. The front of this field. Looks like Jeff Merck will be rolling off second here for this next restart. You know, you don't want to say it because obviously the broadcaster cursed, but for Jeff Merck, pretty good position. Seems like tonight's been going well for him so far. Hope to keep it up that way. Nathan Harper and Ashburn Billett. Malik Ray up 16 spots from where he started this race at, but your biggest mover in the top 10. Tie between two teammates. Ken McCullough Jr. 7th and Mark Vondell 10th. Both up 22 positions from where they started this race at. Lights still on. We'll see if they go off this time. And really, 17th on back, all still in the pits. And for the most part, it's all guys that are just trying to fix damage. They're not all out of the race, but you go back, there's certainly quite a few of them that are, or they're not. They've got big damage. Jared Haynes, I'm amazed just to see this car back out on the racetrack. He was upside down. He's got no front bumper, so he's not going to be very aerodynamic. But he is going to see if he can at least get that car back out here. Maybe hope for a miracle. Now, he is only one lap down. So maybe if he keeps working on the damage and doesn't lose another lap, could catch a break in the form of the lucky dog. You know, with the lights off on the pace car now, we'll get ready to get back to green flag racing. And I don't know. And tell me what you guys think in the chat, but I have a feeling this could be an underdog night. With the way things are going, some of the big names that have been cleaned out here, I mean, you still got a lot of big ones up here. Eckert, Merck, Ray, Harper, Ken McCullough Jr., he's up here now. Michael Guest still in the top 10. Mark Vondell, though, he could be looking to strike victory here tonight. Mark, one of those guys, he likes to play it patient until we get down to the end, which sometimes it plays a big advantage in situations like this. I know we still got 24 laps to go, but again, if your car's clean, you're already at a major advantage with the way it's gone tonight. Every wreck we have seen, just about, they've wrecked them up big, and it's collected quite a few. So I think I'm going to say we get an underdog winner tonight. I think I'm going to lock that in. We'll have to see how it pans out, but nonetheless, it'll be 23 laps to go, and I believe that will leave us with just one more green flag pit stop to be made, unless anybody feels like they can stretch it on fuel all the way. I don't think that would be the case, but again, something that maybe keep in the back of your mind just in case, although again, I don't know if I see 23 laps on 60% fuel, so we'll have to watch it. Ken McCullough Jr., one of the veterans we just mentioned, currently sitting in that 5th position. He's got the 03 Coca-Cola Series Chevrolet sitting behind Nathan Harper and Eckert, and really for the 03 here, he may be the leader on that inside pretty soon because you know that those front two are going to likely get an early jump and try to jump up. So we'll keep an eye on it here. All right, here we go. Again, going to be 23 laps to go. We've already had a few big incidents, and if I show you here, see if I can get a good view of this actually from TV3. Watch as the field comes by here. I'll scroll the camera back. There's a lot of damaged cars back there, and really overall, there's not that many cars left in general. I only count it back to about 22 cars that are left in this race. Green flag back in the air. Great jump for the inside. Harper and Eckert going to try to pull clear, but it's not going to work out for both. Here comes Jeff Merck off the push of Malik Ray as they work up the banking into turn 1. And really, if you're Merck and Malik, that's exactly what you wanted. I would look to see them split the 12, and that's what they do. Malik says, I'll go with you, Jeff. Let's get him out of here. The 12 Eckert, quick to dip down. He wants the side draft, but everybody's going to bail on the 12 down the backstretch. And that move worked out well for Malik and Jeff. Everybody, though, left Ethan Eckert. 3, 4. How many are going to get clear before they jump back up to the top? Still nobody has made that move just yet. They continue to stay single file on the bottom. Mark Vondell currently sitting just behind the 88 of Aubrey Thompson. Haven't called his number yet tonight. But here he is, now trying to work his way up towards the front of the field. Joshua McCullough thinking about making a move up top on his teammate, and he will go to do so. Everybody else right now really just trying to stay organized long enough to stick with the leaders. You see those front 5 cars actually starting to make a bit of a breakaway. These guys got to be careful. We could be talking about, again, potentially the separation of a couple packs right here. That's the view looking outside for Ken McCullough Jr., at least outside of the rearview mirror. And again, they are not out of drafting range yet. It looks like they'll start to get organized now. Ethan Eckert, Joshua McCullough, and Michael Guest. 3-car tandem on the bottom, and they are there. They're going to have a big run, too. Let's see where they take this. Dashboard speeds 200 miles an hour, just about. As they were going through turn 3 and 4, Eckert jumped to the outside, but yet again, can't get anybody to go with him. Now Guest will follow. Harper jumps up. That's going to give 3 cars now to this outside line. As we now cross the line, it'll be 21 laps to go here at Talladega. Another big move right here. Harper looked the lane higher. Big block by Jeff Merck. Had to be made, but he's able to cover it. Now the 33 gives him a big push. The 12 still pushing as well. They're going to try to get another 3-car tandem going right here. Down the backstretch. 2-3 clear. Does Harper jump out on the 60? Not yet. They're going to stay up. Guest is going to drop low. Eckert was not able to cover a block, but Merck is going to go back to the bottom. I think Merck felt like it might be a little bit of a safer play right now with Guest pushing than the 33 and the 12. You could tell those guys maybe not the happiest with the block from Merck, or just feeling like they wanted to get him clear so they could try to make a move. And we are coming to 20 laps to go. Again, still a green flag stop to be made. Lead pack now only about 13, 14 cars deep. And you've got Joel Hernandez back here leading Tucker McClendon and a few others that are all trying to hang with the leaders. A lot of damage cars in that pack. But now 2x2 quite established, as here comes a couple cars from the Puppy Brigade team. That's the 01 of Asher Little and the 87 of Miles Bagley. I thought they would look 3 wide. That's all they did in the PGR Light Series on Monday, but being a little bit more conservative so far here tonight. Trying to work with the 88 and the 12 to see if they can get clear. So as they come to 19 to go here, you can tell that the outside's starting to get a little bit more anxious. The side draft's getting a little bit more aggressive. For Jeff Merck and Michael Guest here, frustration's going to start to set in. If you're Guest, you're really doing everything you can. You're pushing right, but just can't get clear, can't break free of the side draft from this outside line. Now, granted, track temp has gone up another degree, and while it's not much, ideally that aids the advantage to the outside. Now, with Eckert and the 33 dropping low, this could potentially help things out a little bit. That'll allow the 88 of Aubrey Thompson to cool. Jeff Merck maybe going to get clear here. Will he jump up is the question. Not yet. Merck content with where he rides at the moment. He'll stay in line here. No move just yet from the 60. So we hop back on board. You hear Merck there lifting too. I mean, everybody thinks when you go to Super Speedway, it's just your full throttle the whole time. Especially when you're up here fighting for the lead, you're just not. A lot of times you're lifting, you can't really push if you're 4th or further back in line. And even Jeff being 3rd in line right here, I think he feels like let Eckert do the work and just stay close. Certainly doesn't want to accidentally push him and cause an accident here, or do anything that can slow the momentum of that line down. And now we're going to see a 3rd lane get working here from 2 of the guys who have been playing it patient so far tonight. That's Tucker McClendon, and I believe Josh Gambrone rocking the Interstate Batteries number 18 here tonight. If you're just tuning in, picked a pretty good time to do so. Going to be coming to 17 laps to go when they cross the line next time. Here for the PGR eSports Intimidator Superspeedway Series at Talladega. Nathan Harper still on the bottom. Watch out. We see a pit stop here. Ken McCullough Jr. This is an interesting turn of plans. Is Mark Vondell also going to pit? Makes you wonder if those guys are on a different strategy or what the deal is here. Maybe they're in that window now. Yeah, 17 to go. Certainly feels like they could arguably be in that window, but still seems early, especially for only 2 cars to pit. They've got a couple more McCullough Motorsports teammates in the field tonight. But again, just that duo. Only 2 cars that decided to make a stop right here. On the backstretch, there's Jared Haynes going to fall another lap down here with the damage he sustained earlier. But now I will say, curious to see, does this mean pit stops are on the horizon here for quite a few drivers? We'll have to see here as they come off of turn 4 if anybody else decides to make a pit stop this time. 88 and the 88. 2 88 still on the outside trying to make something happen. Yes. So Jeff Merck drops down and a couple others as well here. Michael Guest and Malik Ray. Makes you wonder if those three working together tonight. Boy, what a stop there by Guest and Malik. Actually able to gain about 3 spots over the 60 right there before they actually got to the entrance. That tells me something, at least for Jeff and a few of these guys, is that if you're running up front, you're probably at that point where you do need to make a pit stop. Now, granted, I still am just not sure if it's a one. I figured it'd be a one stop, but this seems a little early again. Watch how far the rest of these guys can go. We went back green with 28 laps in the book. Actually, excuse me, a little bit less than that. So we'll have to watch here, see what happens. 87 of Bagley, Asher Little, 2 teammates. Watch for them to maybe try to peel out of line here to make a pit stop. Here we go. Looks like this is going to bring in another massive group. Watch out. Brambilla coming in hot here. Able to jam on the brakes, though. It looks like he'll be able to get slowed up in time. A couple lockups there, but no major issues. So we've just about seen everybody pit now with this group that comes in. That leaves out a few drivers still. In fact, looks like it leaves out probably about 6 of them. And I'm curious to see how they blend out here with the cars that have already made a pit stop. It looks like... Watch for those cars in the travel here. I'll take you to the starter cam so you can actually see them. There's that group working out of the pits now. And notice how you don't see Michael Guest or Malik Ray. There they are. So I think that group should still be able to catch as we now go back up front to see what is likely going to be everybody else making the pit stop right here with what will be 15 coming to 14 laps to go. Sure enough, there goes Aubrey. Looks like, oh, is he going to be the only one here? Oh, he is. So Aubrey Thompson gets ditched as he was coming in a little hot, but looks like he's going to be able to get it woed up in time. No issues there. Man, this is trouble for Aubrey Thompson here. He's going to have to hope that this is a really good pit stop. If he's not able to tag on with one of those groups that already made a pit stop, he could be in really, really deep trouble right here. Cycling out of the pits. You never want to run a lap at Talladega without any drafting partners, especially not if you want a chance to win the race. And as we go to the rear chase view, you don't see any of the groups that already pit yet. So I'd say Aubrey Thompson looking good, and there is that big group. You see him way in the distance there. I think Aubrey Thompson's going to be okay here. He should be able to tag on with this group. He will still have a shot to fight for a win. Joel Hernandez leading with a little bit of damage. Do they pit this time off of turn 4? Looks like the answer is no. Everybody's still staying out. I just don't like this call from the front group. I mean, if you're running it to make it on fuel when the other guys can't, I think it works, but I don't believe that's the case. I think that these guys... Oh, caution. Caution is out. Now, what's the trouble for? Trying to find out exactly what the cause is. I can't find it. Looking to see if we got any data here on any cars that had trouble. I can't find any. Wow. Either way, this is going to change some things. 48 at Cameron Craighead being scored as your leader, and all of a sudden it's looking like that strategy for the cars that stayed out, as long as they can make it here until pits open on fuel, may have been the right strategy call after all. They're going to have much more fuel than anybody that already pits. Something else. And there you go. All right, Daniel Falkingham in the chat. Glad you mentioned that, Daniel. I completely forgot about that tonight. It says stage yellow. And I forgot to mention this at the tip of the broadcast, but that's right. Series owner Michael Triscaro adding in a couple of twists here tonight. That was one of them. I believe they did a random wheel spin for it. Don't know for sure on that, but Daniel, we appreciate the update on that, and that is correct. So this is a scheduled caution then based off that wheel spin from race control. And that might explain why we saw the order of pit stops the way we did. And if that is the case, then I'm not sure what the right strategy call was, right? I mean, you had, I would assume it's the guys that came in the latest before that caution, because they're going to have track position, and I would assume everybody can make it on fuel. But for these guys, they're going to have a little bit extra fuel. They might even take tires, so they would obviously have an advantage there. I think I'm going to like the track position call a little more, but we'll have to see how these pit stops cycle out. And we'll get to do that, as obviously there's no replay to look at, because as you heard Daniel mention in the chat, caution wasn't for incident. Caution was for the stage yellow. And again, this isn't something that we normally see each week, but since tonight was supposed to be special event night, Michael Triscaro trying to hold it true in at least one way or another. So it comes in the form of a stage break, and it's kind of like the All-Star stage break that they kind of had. Well, they still have it, I guess. This last year at North Wilkesboro, where we've got one of the PGR boys, just like Michael Waltrip up there in the flag booth, waving the stage yellow and then dropping the flag on the track. So we'll have to see what happens here, but the 88 of Joel Hernandez will lead him in, and I did note he's got a little bit of right front damage there. That might be something you want to look at, maybe trying to get fixed. I think that car is still going to be fast enough in draft that you won't notice, but out in front, that could certainly be something that costs you a win. So, again, I think if you're Joel Hernandez here, make sure you take the time during this yellow and get it fixed. And sure enough, the guys that already pit, no surprise here, going to stay out. Looks like Casey Sprinkle is going to get a wave around. So this should put Sprinkle, actually, it looks like he's on the lead lap there by staying out. So I believe for Casey Sprinkle, yeah, this would give him the wave around and put him back to the tail of the leaders. As Kenny Reel said earlier in the chat, their teammates, Austin. I'm not sure who that's in reference to, but you were probably right. Donald Adams says, great broadcasting as usual. Thank you, Donalda. Appreciate you tuning in here tonight. And so this restart, by the way, is going to come with, looks like about 8 or 9 laps to go, which I thought we've seen chaos so far. Get ready. It is going to be wild. We're going to take a quick break, get set up for what is going to be a sprint to the finish here at Talladega. Stick with us. We'll be right back for the restart.
Simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point. But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
3 by 3.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
We're back to Talladega Superspeedway, closing in here on the final few laps of this one. Jeff Merck, by the way, talks about the night he's been having so far. Here he is, 5th position, less than 10 laps to go. Opportunity knocking on the door for the 60 to grab a big win tonight. Have to see if Jeff Merck can get it done. Meanwhile, up front, Michael Guest, Malik Ray, 2 teammates that are going to be starting on the front row. And Merck, as you saw Kenny Reel note in the chat, is an additional teammate to those 2 here tonight. So all 3 of those guys going to be working together here for the final 9 laps of this race. Joshua McCullough, Nathan Harper, Aubrey Thompson, Ash Brambilla, Josh Gambrone, and Miles Bagley all up here in the top 10 as well. And so with 9 laps to go, we know that everybody's good to go on fuel at the very least for regulation. I would assume everybody should be good to go for overtime as well, especially with this caution. The drivers that topped off now towards the back, Hernandez, Craighead, a few others, are going to have some work to do, but advantage here is, there's not really all that many cars still on the track, only about 20. So certainly still realistic to make your way to the front. Smaller fields like this, big opportunity to get your name down in the PGR eSports history books. Let's see who's going to win it tonight. Green flag back in the air. 9 laps to go at Talladega. Good restart for the 8. Not going to be enough, though, right there. The 60 quick to jump up. Surprised to see Merck leave his teammate Malik. Malik not going to be able to jump up in front of the 05 either. And, oh, man, that caused a big stack up. Brambilla's trying to save it. Bagley not going to really give him much room to work with. Now he does. Ken McCullough Jr. going to split to the middle. These guys racing like it's 2 to go, not 9 to go. Oh, man, watch out up there. That was close. Nathan Harper. Boy, there's all over the place. Can't even commentate the amount of trouble that we almost had right there. Michael Guest up front got turned off the track. Everybody finally, though, seems to have sorted it out. Oh, my goodness. 2 of the Puppy Brigade cars here trying to get together. Bagley and Little. 21 to Guest still leads the inside, but the outside dominating right now. It's Merck and Ethan Eckert up top. Joshua McCullough there. Josh Gambro took a couple of looks, but still not committing just yet. Jeff Merck's kind of in that position where he doesn't have to decide yet, but when that inside or middle gets a run, what do? Do you go for it or do you stay where you're at? Michael Guest jumped up right there. Big move to get that middle some momentum as now the inside starts to fade a little bit. It'll be 7 laps to go when they cross the line next time. Still single file on the outside, and similar to the way that you used to see the old school Daytona 500s finish. A lot of people on the outside trying to wait to make that move to the last lap, but they may not have that opportunity because here comes Michael Guest on the inside. Another close call right there as he got bumper hooked slightly by Nathan Harper, but he's able to save it, and now trouble. Watch out. The 48 and the 05 going to battle now. They'll split 4 wide. Joshua McCullough, Cameron Craighead stuck in the middle right here. Got to be careful. Not a lot of room for these guys to work. Somebody going to bail. They finally do, and they'll get back to 3x3. Inside, though, has lost all momentum. No help right now. Guest in the middle. He's going to be quick to pull to the top. Malik Ray still on the middle, trying to see if he can keep the 12 from getting clear as caution. Trouble towards the back here. At least it appears so. Yes, the 05 of Joshua McCullough has gone around, and so that was what the caution was for. Looks like there is some front damage to his Ford Mustang. So for Joshua McCullough here, no fast repair, but it doesn't look race ending. Certainly going to have to go in there and see if he can get it fixed up a little bit before he comes back out here for a restart that's going to be probably inside 5 laps to go now. Take another look at this here. See exactly where it went wrong. Again, further towards the back. We saw Josh was 4 wide, but he wasn't 4 wide anymore. By the time this incident happened, he's 3 wide, running behind the 29 of Luke Freeman. And then is there going to be a stack up here? Yeah, a little bit of a checkup turns into a bigger checkup. 29 gets into the wall. You see Josh trying to get low. The 29, I think, either gets off the wall just a little bit or there's a tiny bit of netcode between the two. Either way, that gets the 29 turned down. And then there's just going to be nowhere to go here for a lot of different guys. Corey Wright in the 25. Nothing he can do. And then Joshua McCullough here stuck together with Luke Freeman. 29 finally straightens it out. You see the 05 eventually loop it all the way around. As he goes for a slide here on the back stretch. Watch this from the onboard view here. For Joshua McCullough, again, I think the 29 either trying to get it off the wall just comes off a little bit, or there's a little bit of netcode. Boy, from that view, it almost looks like a little bit of netcode. You can almost kind of see the space, even through the cockpit view. For Joshua McCullough right there, and here's the slow-mo view from outside. Boy, it's close. It's really, really close. Certainly kind of looks like from that angle like there may have been a slight bit of contact. I think the 29 bouncing off the wall and Josh washing up maybe a little bit. But again, to me, that's kind of hard to really pin on anybody because you got the 29 getting into the wall, maybe coming off a little bit. Maybe a tiny bit of netcode, and at the same time, the 05 a little tight, trying to figure out what to do. It'd be interesting to see how race control decides to call it, but it looked more like a racing incident to me. So we go to turn 2 exit. And watch this. See the smoke. It happens quick here, but lucky that did not collect anybody else with where it happened. And that might have been a good break for the leaders because it was getting really, really aggressive. We almost did make it through that first lap in a couple different ways, but it seemed like the pace was able to calm down a little bit once everybody got up to speed. But again, now we're going to have a restart with, let's see, we didn't get the lights off this time, so actually it's going to be a 3-lap to go restart. So you can bet that the gloves are coming off for this one. As we do get ready, the green flag here. I was looking at a few of the names here that we still have in the top 10 that would be considered likely upset winners. And, I mean, really, you got to go back first to that 88 of Joel Hernandez. I mean, you talk about one of the biggest upsets ever. Think about the difference between a Coke Series iRating, which is about 8,000, give or take. You look at a Daniel Falkingham or Michael Guest, again, right around that 8,000 category. Joel Hernandez is a 600 iRating, and he is up here running with these guys like it is nothing. So tip of the hat so far to the 88. Josh Gambrone, boy, that'd be an upset for him as well. We haven't seen him as much recently. Justin Melichar looking for his first PGR win. Nash Mermilla and Aubrey Thompson as well, still looking to find that first PGR victory. So a lot of opportunity here, but there are still some really big names that are going to be tough to get around up front. Michael Guest, Malik Ray working together. Jeff Merck there as well. You know that Ethan Eckert, how aggressive he can be at the end of these races, and knowing that he could get himself back in victory lane, you know what he's probably willing to do for it. So really, just about anybody's guess here. As I do want to take one more look here tonight at the two onboard views that we have. First up is the man sitting in fourth, Jeff Merck. He's been running a good race so far tonight, but almost feels like when that's the case as a driver, you get more and more nervous because you know it's just kind of destined to strike at some point. And then Justin Melichar, the other driver up here, doing a little TikTok scrolling here before we get back to green flag racing. All jokes, of course. Melichar, though, certainly getting dialed in here and getting ready to get back to it. So we'll see how things are able to pan out. Hey, they say don't text and drive. They don't say you can't text and sim race. So I guess no harm, no foul there. And if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. By the way, again, you may not have noticed it on regular live stream, but I did try to bring us back to the 1440 stream resolution here tonight, or stream quality, rather. So do let me know if things have looked laggy at all, or if it seems pretty smooth, and if you noticed any difference with the graphics. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it that way, as I'm sitting here getting warnings the whole time that it is making it a little bit more stressful between OBS and YouTube to try to transfer over that bitrate. So might be going back down to 1080p, but wanted to give it a try just to see how well it would work. So nonetheless, I appreciate everybody that has been tuning in here tonight. Quarter three getting ready to wrap up again. Not sure where we're going to be next week yet, but likely to be a super speedway if I had to guess. And the week after that, we've got the COTs. So if you're ready to see a car go 240 plus miles an hour at a Talladega, well, that's the race you're going to want to watch. Guys are going to be flipping, flying. It's going to be absolutely crazy. So that'll certainly be an interesting one. A little disappointed, obviously, that we didn't get to see the special ARCA Series event here tonight. Or excuse me, the special ARCA Series event at Bristol here tonight. But nonetheless, still glad to watch these guys go at it. And I think the turnout just wasn't quite going to be there. That's why they decided to bring it back to a super speedway. Certainly can never go wrong with a good old-fashioned combo at Talladega in the ARCA cars, which has put on some good racing tonight, but certainly put on quite a few crashes that have taken out a lot more cars than we've had in a few weeks. In terms of how many might finish the race by the time this thing is all said and done, I'm only seeing, at the moment, 21 on the lead lap. We started with 33, so that tells you what kind of night it's been. 5 cautions through the span of 55 laps. Haven't gone into overtime yet. It certainly is still a possibility. Kenny Real says, been good. Appreciate it. Kenny Real also says, restart. You're going to see a lot of aggression. Yeah, you got that right. And I watch here, I'm not sure who's the control car, if it's Guest or Eckert. I think it's Guest. If that's the case, I think if you're Michael Guest here, you're trying to jump it so that both you and Malik can get clear in front of the 12, and then you try to control that top the rest of the way. We'll see if that's indeed how they play this strategy out. They've got Merck there as well, so that would really give them a big opportunity, even if Eckert tries to split them up. We'll see what they decide to do. It's going to be 3 laps to go. Here we go. Green flag back in the air at Talladega. Good restart, but not good enough. Eckert going to be able to stay even, but Merck's going to split him. Wow, what a move from the 60 before they even get to turn 1. Jeff Merck jumps to the outside, and that's exactly what he needed to do for the inside to roll. How about that? What a team play right there. The 21 and the 8 clear up, and that puts Malik, Guest, and Merck sitting in the top 3. The 18, Josh Gambrone there as well. Eckert finally going to get some help in the form of Nathan Harper now. But you wonder how much time are they going to have to get back to the front. The inside's got to get organized, and the 3 wide is not helping with that. They're going to jump all the way to the bottom now. Guest, though, still well in control at the top of the racetrack. No move yet from Merck, and I wouldn't expect there to be one, at least not until the last lap, but he's got to be careful. He's going to have to split him out, and there he goes. Now he's going to get split out. 4 wide out back. Oh, man, bad's gone to worse. Now they're going to wreck. Merck trying to save it, but he loses the front clip. And there they go. They're going to wreck the 29 up the track. Merck stinks by. Caution back out. But the damage has been done. Jeff Merck misses the second part of it. Did the front bumper go back on? You really hope it did, but oh, no, it didn't. Things were so close. And I'm watching driver cams here, and Jeff Merck, got to think he's just wondering, what the heck, man? I thought I was doing everything right, and that almost looked like a scenario where you kind of say, you know what? I'll try to do the right thing here instead of the wrong thing, and backfired for him. That's exactly what I mean right here. So they're coming through 3 and 4, and I'm not sure if this was part of the plan or what, but you see, Guess gets a little bit lower. Jeff's trying to follow back down. Now, Jeff's okay right here. He's got the opportunity. I can't tell from that angle if Gambrone's already there or not. We'll go to this view. He's not. So Jeff has the opportunity. In fact, who knows? Josh may have been actually let him get there. But then it finally gets to a point where it seems like Jeff commits to, you know, okay, I'll go to the outside here and bail out of it. I can see how this is going to kind of play out. And as he's doing so, you see Gambrone just tag him a little bit there in the left rear. But everybody saves it at this point. But out back, you see the 88 give a little bit of a bad push to the 84 of Justin Melachar. That gets him a little loose. Trying to save it, but gets up into Jeff Merck. Nothing he can do about it. And then obviously that gets them both out of shape. Jeff Merck loses that front clip, though, which was interesting and unfortunate here for Jeff, because really, even though there was contact, this wasn't that bad of a hit. To me, this shouldn't have ripped the front bumper off. I mean, that's a little bit of contact, but then watch the front bumper. There it goes. And as soon as you lose that, you just lose a ton of speed. And then, see, the 88 gets into the 29. Luke Freeman, who'd been having a good night, he gets up the track into the 87 of Bagley, who takes a big hit. And 29 goes spinning back across the track. And that's what brings out your 6th caution of the night. Give you one more quick view of this here before we go back up front. Set things up for the restart. So a couple of cars there with some pretty decent damage. As I assume that was Miles Bagley there racing across the track. Some pretty significant damage, and then catches a little air time. Ooh, close contact, or close to contact there. So he went back up the track, but looks like a couple cars, even with that major damage, still out on the racetrack, although it is Ethan Eckert, your race leader. Nathan Harper in 2nd. Corey Wright 3rd. Michael Guest 4th. Joel Hernandez in 5th. Kenny Reel says, damn, Merck kind of messed that one up. You got me to swear on the broadcast. I'll give you credit for that. But, hey, nonetheless, you're right, Kenny, in the sense of, for Merck, you know, that was tough, because we look back at that, and I'm sitting here thinking, if you're Merck, you're obviously trying to stick with the 2 guys that you're working with, but it gets to a point where you're kind of in that awkward squeeze where you're like, you know, do I commit or do I go out? You're thinking, if I commit, they're going to all split me. If I go out, I hurt my teammates. And to me, I thought initially he made the right decision, kind of bailing out. I thought for sure that the guys behind him were going to go with him when he did that. Instead, he ends up kind of being the 3rd man split out in a 4-wide scenario. And once that happened, well, there was just really nothing he could do from there. Unfortunately, the contact that ripped off his front bumper, I think, is going to be what kind of ends his shot at winning here tonight. Merck is in the pits. It looks like one of the pit crew members went out on the track and found the front bumper. They're taping it back on, but I think any competitive chance could be over, although I don't know. 20 cars in the field tonight. I know we only got one shot at an overtime, but I've seen crazier things happen in the span of 2 laps. We'll have to see how it pans out here for the number 60. Now, meanwhile, up front, Ethan Eckert finally going to have a little bit more help here. He's got Nathan Harper up front with him, and for Guest and Malik Ray, they're back into 4th and 6th, so they're not quite as close to the front as they were the last 2 restarts. We'll have to see how this all plays out, though, but 1 green-white checkered attempt, and we're going to have it right here. No caution will be thrown, even if they wreck on the first lap. So that's something to obviously keep in mind here if you're going to be really aggressive up front. Fuel-wise, I believe everybody should be good to the end. I don't see anybody really necessarily saving hard anywhere, so I don't think anybody's too concerned about fuel. So we'll see what lane Eckert decides to take. Part of me almost thinks that they might set it up where Eckert goes inside, Harper goes outside, and then Eckert tries to jump up in front. So we'll have to see what happens. And I'm looking further back here. Still some big names in the top 10 with a chance here Corbett, McClendon have now broken into the top 10. Joel Hernandez still top 5. Nash Brambilla up here as well. Asher Little looking for his first PGR win. A lot of opportunity, but you're going to have to be aggressive. We're at that point where I know a lot of guys like to work with their teammates, but you got to watch out for number 1 first. And if that means making the move that I think Merck just made a little bit of a hesitation on right there, then you got to do it. And it looks like Eckert and Harper are going to do the exact strategy that we just talked about. 12 taking the inside, and you know, you might be thinking, well, maybe he just took the inside because it's a shorter way around, it's a safer option. Well, if I was someone new to money racing, I would think the exact same thing. But if you've been around this for long enough, you know how these guys work, you know how the guys up front work, and I can tell you the exact mindset if you want a shot at winning this race, it is get up in front of somebody that you know is going to work with you until at least coming to the checkered flag and be on that top lane. That's exactly what the 12 of Ethan Eckert plans to do. So watch for the big jump. But I will say this, you see Michael Guest in the 21 and the 8 of Malik Ray just behind him. Those two are lined up as well. Don't be too shocked if as soon as that 12 tries to jump up, those two try to jump third lane. The big question would be, where does everybody behind them go? That's going to be the wild card in all of this. Asher Little, Tucker McClendon, do they jump up or do they stay in the middle? Depending on where they go, could have a big outcome on this race. And if there's a lot of chaos blocking and splitting up top, don't count out the bottom either. Joel Hernandez, Corey Wright can get together. Big opportunity there as well. And Corey Wright, the only driver that I forgot to mention here in this last round of potential upset winners here tonight, looking for his first win in that 25 machine. He's up 16 spots from where he started this race at. Can the driver out of Nashville, Tennessee, find victory lane in PGR for the first time tonight? He's done everything right to get himself in this position so far. See if he can get the job done. All right. Final time off of turn 4. Getting those final checks in. The nerves. You're feeling them right now if you're one of the guys who has not won before. And even if you have won before, still over $200 to win the race. And I'll tell you what, $200 is always something to get excited about. So the 12 of Ethan Eckert here. Watch closely. We're going to go to the blimp cam for this restart so you can see exactly when that 12 hits the accelerator. Look for it to be very, very early here in the restart zone. The 8 of Malik, the 21 of Guest, laying off a little bit here. Watch what the strategy is with that. They're going to try to gear up for a run right here on the 33. There we go. Green flag, and that's exactly how they drew it up. The 12 of Eckert. Massive jump here as he's going to quickly get enough of a lead that he could jump up in front of the 33. There's the split. Michael Guest goes up. Harper has to go down. Now the 12 of Eckert's going to follow. And boy, they did a good job of defending. I read those two moves coming like a book, but they were able to defend it better. They go too high, though. Watch out. Harper's going to get split to the middle. Guest and Malik, though, all by themselves. The 05 and the 01 go up top. 3 wide down the super stretch. Trouble out back. They're wrecking towards the middle and back of the pack, but they stay clean up front for the moment. The outside still has the organization. Eckert, Harper, and Asher Little. Top 3 up top. Corey Wright, Joel Hernandez trying to work together on the bottom. And you've got temps to push to the end, so you just got to make sure that you do it the right way. That's not going to be it. Corey Wright turned off the racetrack. He's going to try to merge up. Rambilla's forced to lift. That allowed Ken McCullough Jr. and the 84 Melachar to get a big run. White flag, 1 lap to go, and they're 3 wide. Ken McCullough Jr. got the lead briefly, but he's not going to be able to hold on to it as they get into turn 1. And oh man, for Eckert and Harper here, this is exactly the best scenario you could be in. Nobody really going to be able to do much here. Merck forced to stay behind the 84. Here comes the 21 and the 8. Do they look 4 wide? There's nowhere to go. They're going to stay up top. Big run now for the 3rd lane. Ken starts to fade. The 12 of Eckert, though, surges, and watch out. The 21, Michael Guest and the 8 of Malik Ray are going to have another shot at it. And Asher Little threw a big move. Do they stay with him? Trouble. Wrecking big. Ken McCullough Jr. got turned. Now it's going to come down to the top 2 versus 4, 5, 6 on the bottom. Oh, man, Asher Little, opportunity for his first PGR win. He's got the run. Eckert, though, needs one more side drive. Corey Wright goes onto the apron. It's going to be a drag race back to the line, but Eckert with the momentum gets the win at Talladega. Ethan Eckert returns to victory lane in thrilling fashion. The driver from Chicago worked so well with his teammate Nathan Harper. They finish 1-2. Asher Little came so close. He'll round out the podium. But man, was that some chaos right there, especially coming out of turn 4 on the last lap. For Ethan Eckert, though, big time win to get himself right back to the top stats for PGR eSports. He's trying to get closer to the top guys, and he's always had the talent. But it was just a matter of when it was going to be his night to strike again. Tonight was that night. So we'll see if we get a burnout here as he continues to drive it around, though. Got to take a look at a couple things here. I will say I saw an interesting maneuver there from Corey Wright getting below the yellow that I felt like may have cost Asher Little a shot at that race. Now, granted, he may have gotten pushed down there. I couldn't tell in live time, so I do want to go back and look at all of that, and we'll do that in just a moment. But first, let's look at your official results. Again, Ethan Eckert is your race winner. Nathan Harper second. Asher Little third. Joel Hernandez in fourth. Great run for him. Corey Wright fifth. Jeff Merck rounding out the final money spot tonight in sixth. Nash Brambilla seventh. Casey Sprinkle eighth. Good comeback for him as well. Justin Melichar finishes ninth, and it's Mark Vondell rounding out the top 10. Tucker McClendon in 11th. Josh Gambrone in 12th. Cameron Craighead 13th. With Sean Corbett, the 45, finishing 14th. Aubrey Thompson 15th. Ken McCullough Jr. back in 16th. Joshua McCullough finishes in 17th. Moving on back to the 18th spot tonight, it's going to be Michael Guest, and rounding out the top 20 in 19th, it's going to be Malik Ray and Jared Haynes in 20th. Finishing 21st here tonight, it's going to be Miles Bagley with Luke Freeman 22nd. Quentin Steinbach finishes back in 23rd. Daniel Falkingham 24th. Evan Carlbaum 25th with Wyatt Gray 26th. Kevin Tipton 27th. Dylan Basin in 28th. Brian Hennings 29th. Trevor Osbernoth 30th. Axel Smith 31st. Josh Bonwell 32nd. And Kyler Wynn rounding out the field tonight, finishing in 33rd. All right, let's go back here and break down really just the last half lap of that final lap of the race, because that was when all the chaos broke out here, and it all starts back at turn 4. Saw a big wreck here with a group that I thought was going to have another shot at it. I'm not sure what went wrong, and so that's what I'm curious about. So we'll go back to Asher Little, because that's around where this happens. You see everybody gets down here. Oh, I think I know what's going to happen here. Yikes. Just too much pushing and shoving right there. You can't do it. You see Ken McCullough Jr. down here, and as they get into the corner, you know, on the straightaway, you can get away with it a little bit. I think that's what they're doing as a 3-car tandem. You see Corey Wright pushing through the 88, but as you get into the turn, you can't do that in these cars anymore. Corey Wright's just pushing through the 88. That's just sending him up the track, gets him offset. Joel Hernandez is trying to straighten it back out, but it hooks the 03 as he tries to do so. I wouldn't be shocked if Race Control puts that one on the 25, but that's a big hit. And again, that's an unfortunate one because it's kind of avoidable to a degree, and takes out a couple of guys that could have had a shot at it. That was Asher Little's first chance if the help gets to him right there. But now he goes to the bottom, and Joel Hernandez stays with him here. That's a lot of patience there to do so. But then as they come to the tri-oval, Corey Wright, it's kind of two mistakes in 1/4 of a lap. And, I mean, you really kind of cost a lot of guys. And I don't say this to be mean or nag on Corey Wright at all, but that's kind of a poor look right there for the 25, especially at the end. I mean, if I'm Asher Little, I'm saying, you know, what the heck, dude? Even Joel Hernandez, you just cost all of us out of higher money spots. You can't pass below there. And nobody forced him down there, so and then he comes up here, and in the process, you almost wrecked the 01. It's just, I don't know. I don't really get that one. I'll be honest. That's, like I said, to me, that's two mistakes. And Infinite Frost says they put it on the 88. Wow. That's surprising to me. Let's go back and look at this again one more time before we get your top 3 for interviews. Did I miss something here from this? No, 25 is definitely attached. And again, Race Control is much more experienced at this than I am. So, you know, I won't sit here and say that it's necessarily the wrong call. But, I mean, you know, we look at this in slow motion one more time on the bottom. Again, from all the views that I can see, the 25 is pushing through the 88. I just don't really see how this can be the 88's fault. I mean, he's getting pushed through. What is he supposed to do? And you see even the 25 bumps him up. I don't get that one. Nonetheless, though, here's what it is, and then that was the first mistake I felt like, but then this is the one that arguably costs Asher Little a chance at the victory. You see he's got the push. I think he's even got the momentum here. It's going to be a drag race, but then Corey Wright goes below the yellow, breaks up the entirety of the inside, and From there, it's all Ethan Eckert. Takes it home, and his teammate able to finish second. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. We'll get an official check of that 5th place finishing result. When we come back, stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, and we're going to kick things off first here tonight before we go any further with your race winner, and that is none other than 12 car of Ethan Eckert. Ethan, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Well, it's been a while. I mean, I know you've made the recent return to PGR. You came off quite a lengthy suspension there, but it didn't take you very long to find victory lane, just a couple of weeks. How does it feel to be back on top in PGR?
Oh, man, it feels amazing, dude. You have no clue to be gone for, what, I don't know, a good while. And then come back and just be the same way I used to be and win races already. Man, it feels great.
Yeah, as it should. And really, I mean, we saw a lot of chaos play out towards the end. And I'll say I was sitting here kind of reading off how I thought the moves were going to develop between you and your teammate Harper versus Malik, Guest, and a few others. And you guys still managed to be one step ahead of them there at the end. What was going through your mind on that last restart, and how'd you hold everybody off there coming to the finish?
Oh, the last restart, me and Harper, I mean, I was pretty confident in us having that. I didn't know whether or not I should take top and jump low in front of Harper or vice versa. We took the other way around, and when we thought, well, when I think it was Malik, no, it was Guest, took Harper's right rear, we thought we were in a rough spot, and then he got clear to the bottom, so we were able to get back clear of them, and then we just held wall and just shoved and shoved. I mean, Asher would have had that win if it wasn't for Tucker, so that Tucker is amazing for that.
Absolutely. Well, Ethan, it's a phenomenal win for you here tonight, and obviously a big one. So before we let you head out to celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
To start off, I want to thank Tucker. Yes, that was amazing by him. Harper, me and him have worked together for literally forever on and off, and we're great together. So big shout out to Harper. Big shout out to Dan. He got wrecked earlier on in the race, but it's what it is. Who else? You for broadcasting, everyone for racing, Mike for doing the race control, even though he wouldn't give me my chat back. That was kind of annoying. Everyone for watching, if I didn't say that. Yeah.
Well, Ethan, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the win. You're back on top in PGR. We'll see if you can get another one next week.
Oh, I will.
All right, there you go. Confidence for the 12 car after a big victory here tonight. And with that, we'll move on to his teammate, the second place finisher tonight. That is none other than Nathan Harper. Let's see if we can find him down here. Hey, Nathan, this is Austin up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, a big finish for you here tonight, a big win for your teammate. But, boy, we saw a lot of chaos at the end. So the first thing I got to start with is what was going through your mind there as you had Malik Ray and Michael Guest sizing you up. It looked like for a second your race was over. Next thing you know, you're lined up with your teammate pushing to the checkered.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern. When they were lined up on the top, I was like, well, no offense, but out of all the people who were, in the top 10 that I know of, they were the only ones willing to make a move. So I was like, okay, well, my chances are done. But when Guest put the move on me, it was a really good move. I wasn't expecting it. Speaking of that, I misjudged it because after, iRacing came out with a new update, my mirror, my mirror is different, and I can't tell like how close somebody is to me like I used to. So he got me there. I don't know if he was there, but in the moment I thought I'll have to look back and watch, but luckily the bottom was still clear. I went down, Ethan followed me, and then we got the surge on the bottom and I got to the top, and then they were split middle three, and then, I nearly blew my engine pushing him around the track, and then, I thought about hanging him out because I didn't want to risk blowing my motor, but I stayed with him, and we managed to get the 1-2, so that was pretty sick.
Certainly was. And I mean, really, we saw a lot of cautions with a lot of carnage in this race. And really, as we started to come down to the end, there wasn't many cars left. Was the strategy going into this race to stay up front to try to avoid all the chaos? Or do you feel like you had a little luck getting through some of the carnage we saw here tonight?
No luck this time. I think most of my finishes on the stat sheet have been lucky. I will admit that. I think some were on skill, but I think tonight I did what I had to do. And yeah, staying up front for sure. That was the key, I think, tonight. But I think I got the job done. I did all I could do and finished good.
Certainly did. Well, Nathan, before we let you head out here tonight to celebrate another podium, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yes. Shout out to Ethan. We got the 1-2. It was pretty cool. Dan, he wrecked early. Everyone who showed up tonight, Baker and Mike for putting this on for us. You commentating, and today's 9/11, so some emotion for everybody who put their lives on the line, who perished. First responders, shout out to them. We would be lost as a nation without them.
Absolutely. Nathan, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and with that, that'll now move us to your final podium finisher of the night, and that is the 01, Asher Little. Asher, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you bring home a third place finish tonight, man, but I know you got to feel like you kind of got cheated out of a chance there at the end. It looked like you guys were going to drag race it out to the finish. Next thing you know, the bottom disintegrates. What was going through your mind there when you started losing all the help with the big wreck off of turn 4?
I don't know. Both my teammates wrecked, and we were just kind of having a good time. I was paying attention to the race, wasn't really doing anything, and the opportunity was following Malik, and I was like, I guess I'll just take his right rear because it's there, and took it. And next thing I know, I'm sitting third, and I haven't even watched it back, but Corey Wright was coming on the bottom, and I shot it down there, and I have this huge run. I'm probably going to win the race. And so me, Axel, Miles, we're all screaming at the top of our lungs. We're having a good time. And then we see him shoot to the bottom, and all of us collectively went, oh. And that was that. But always next race.
There's always next race, and obviously anytime you get a podium, it has to generate some sort of momentum. Now, a little bit of a different car to round out quarter 3. I'm not sure where we'll be next week, but we've got the car tomorrow coming up in a couple of weeks. How do you feel about your chances when we come back to Talladega?
I don't know. Talladega's fun. I like the racing, but we'll see what happens.
Certainly will. Well, Asher, we appreciate you talking to us. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, definitely grandparents, my teammates, Axel Smith and Miles Bagley. Screw them for not running the dog cars. And Brandon Baines with SPM seal coding in him.
And Asher, thank you for talking to us as well. Again, congrats on the third place finish, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. Certainly a chaotic one, but a great win for Ethan Eckert nonetheless. And obviously some controversy near the end. We'll see if that changes anything for the next couple of weeks. But nonetheless, as always, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. And until next week, have a good night.